what are the goals with that number, with those numbers now that you have it? Is it just so that you understand things better and you go oh, that's interesting, I didn't know that about our market right now? Or if you look at it as who do I want to be as a realtor in this marketplace? Who do I want to be as a business professional in this marketplace? What type of information and guidance do I want to be able to give people? Welcome back to Life at 10/10, where we inspire you to live at the pinnacle of your ability and purpose. I've got my co-host, Matt Benelli, with me today. Matt, good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Well,
how are you today?
What do you got going on?
I said, how are you today?
I'm having a great day, man. We have been on and talking for so long that we're like, we should probably record an episode, and that's where we're at today. Because Matt and I, we just talk between recording these and everything else we talk about outside,
it's good stuff though. There's some, we're not just like messing around. We were talking about some really cool things that are going on with Life at 10/10, our inside track. We're talking about some really great stuff. So you guys are going to benefit a lot from these conversations.
So Matt and I are fired up. We're ready to go today. We do have a great topic for you. If you want to come and check out our world, come check out the Inside Track, Inside Life at 10/10. You can go grab the app. Inside Track will get you into everywhere you need to go right now and get you all an insight into what we've got happening, what's going on over here at Life at 10/10. So we'd love to see you in there. Matt, let's jump right in with just tracking does not make you better. It doesn't make your health better. It doesn't make your business better. It doesn't make your relationships better. But man, we watch people all the time that get stuck in this moment of tracking and tracking and tracking and tracking with no real purpose to the numbers and the data and the information that they gathered, other than they go, I know.
I know this information, and I want to be clear. This is not us saying don't track.
Yeah,
because it is true. Whatever gets measured gets managed if you manage it, because you can measure things and never manage them. I think there is a little bit of a fallacy there. And I'll share a quick story of that. This was me in tracking my heart rate variability. I wore a Whoop strap for many years and was like, oh, cool, look at these scores. I'm trying to get into the green, trying to do this. And I kind of understood what they meant, but I really didn't have a goal around it and didn't understand some nuance around it until meeting Justin Roethlingshofer, the owner of Own It, whom we partner with for our health program, which is amazing. And all of a sudden I had a better vision of what is my goal with HRV? How do I understand this? And what is it truly? And understanding the whole how the body incorporates stress, all the different things that go into that, and what routines can I use to offset all these different things, because that metric, and this happens in our business too, I'm just using this as an example, that metric wasn't just one or two things that impact it. It's a lot of things. And so sometimes we'll measure and track things, Garrett, where we probably also need to measure other things too, to understand how they work together. And so I had dropped my Whoop band for a few years. I was like, I'm not doing anything with it. I don't really understand it. And now it's back because I understand it better. I understand what I'm going for with it. And I can actually make better use of that data because I am truly managing what is being measured instead of just measuring something for the heck of measuring it, right?
Well, and what's important that you said is you have a goal based around it. I think that that's where we get into a trap is we hear we're supposed to track numbers. I tell people all the time, track your absorption rates, track your months of inventory, track your odds of selling for your market by price ranges and whatnot. And I know people that do it, and then they're like, oh, darn it, I missed a month and I got to get back on track with that. And I'll check these numbers out. And what they have is they have a whole bunch of data. But what kind of led us into this beginning of this episode today was, what are the goals with that number, with those numbers now that you have it? Is it just so that you understand things better and you go oh, that's interesting, I didn't know that about our market right now? Or if you look at it as who do I want to be as a realtor in this marketplace? Who do I want to be as a business professional in this marketplace? What type of information and guidance do I want to be able to give people? And I think that knowing those numbers if you have a goal around, it helps me be a person that I'm not currently right now, or it supports this person that I truly want to be. Now all of a sudden it has a lot of value. I can use that data in so many different ways. I understand the purpose of the data now that I've created, where I can sit there and go, okay, let's look at how that inventory has changed. Because no goals, you look at it and you go like, oh, look, the months of inventory is this for this month. With goals around it of being the expert to guide my people, now I can look back and go, okay, since January, the beginning of this year, every single month up until this month of September, I can see a pattern now and a trend that makes me be able to sit down with my client and go, let's look at the direction and the trends of these markets so that I can help guide you to what's going to happen as your home goes on the market here. And you guys are going to get the results that you want. Most people don't have the bigger picture goal around it, but they feel good because they're tracking the numbers. And this is where the trap can kind of come in of a lot of time spent with real no benefit of really knowing it other than we might know a little bit more, but that's about it.
Having the goal is so important. And I think, this brings up the thought of, okay, we're in also this age of habit trackers and all these things where I think we over track certain things. Like, let's just take a morning routine as an example. Like, we know the power of a morning routine, and people start to track, oh, am I doing my morning routine every day? Did I do my gratitudes, my affirmations, my this, which I think is important to do. Does tracking that do anything for you? Right? Like, I did get to the point where I'm like, oh, I'm going to track my gratitudes and all this stuff so I can say I did all these things. Now, in a coaching environment, like, I want to know if my people are doing it. So it's helpful for them to track, because the goal is then I have knowledge of what they're doing or not doing so we can use that. But for an individual thing, like, I probably don't need to be able to go back and be like, look at that, 365 days of me writing down my gratitudes. It's like, I'm going to get the value from doing that thing, not from tracking it, right? And so having a goal around what are we trying to accomplish will help you understand what is important to actually track, because some things are also just tracked naturally. Like, if you are writing your affirmations every day, you don't need to go check a box saying you did it, because you have the physical paper that you did it on. You have the journal.
But I'm so happy
if you're reading 10 pages a day, you have the knowledge inside your head, right?
But I'm so happy that you brought up the affirmations, because we have watched people for years that are like, I write down my affirmations 25 times a day for 30 days. And I've been doing that forever and I'm good at it. And
look at my track record.
And like, I got the pages to show. I got all kinds of journals that I have of all my affirmations. And look how long I've done this for. And it's interesting is that usually when I start to really dig down deep and like, tell me what it's like to do that activity. What are the processes that you go through when you're writing it down 25 times for 30 days? And usually I'll find somebody who, when they're doing the process, is going, okay, how many times have I written that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, I'm 14 in. Okay, I've got this many more to write. And they just scribble it out. Just scribble it out. Scribble it out. Okay, what is that? Okay, I'm up to 20. Okay, 5 more to do. 5 more to do. And it's like, no. You're missing the entire thing of writing an affirmation and putting thought and effort and visualization into your life. Now that affirmation's coming to life, just the fact that you're writing it down 25 times a day and being able to check the box that, like, look at me, I do affirmations. Like, I write them down 25 times a day for 30 days. I've been doing it forever. That is not what causes the big change and the big growth. Reprogramming the subconscious brain so that it's looking for new experiences. It's searching for something new out here that you have programmed in, that it goes, oh crap, I got to go find that. I got to find that in my environment right now, because you're telling me we're getting these results. We're telling me we're making this money. We're telling me we're getting all these referrals. I got to go figure it out here now. That is what the end all be all goal of the affirmation is. It's not to write it 25 times a day. That's not the end all be all of what's going to get you the results that you want. It's a trap.
Yeah. And I think that's what's happened with a lot of tracking has become the goal. Making sure I click on my habit tracker that I did these things, which, by the way, I don't have a problem with that at all. I think it can be actually very beneficial. There's a reason why these things have become popular, these habit trackers and apps and things like that. And there is benefit into documenting your history of actions and the things that you've done so that you can look back and compare leading indicators and lagging indicators to say, hey, what is working towards my results? And lagging indicators could be results in your business, could be energy, could be, your relationships. There's so many things. So I'm not saying don't track. We're not saying don't track.
Oh yeah,
but
it's very clear. Yes, we're not saying don't track.
At the same time, the tracking is not what creates the results. And one of the areas, Garrett, we see this a lot is how people track their interactions, which I think is actually one of the best things to keep track of. How am I communicating with people? Am I calling? Am I writing notes? Am I doing market impact reports? Am I sending emails? Am I doing text messages? These are things that are very useful to track because we can learn a lot from what's happening. However, if you're just tracking for number purposes, this is where we can see two agents literally do the same amount of activities and have wildly different results because what is going on during those activities is different. And that's something that we don't really track. We just like, oh, check the box, talk to Garrett, talk to Matt, talk to Sally, talk to Sue. And I had my conversations for the day. It's like, okay, but now what did you do with them?
So I think here's the question you need to ask. So we have all these things that we track. We got people in our world, Matt, that they're writing 10 handwritten notes. They're talking to 50 people. They got 2 lunches, 2 market impact reports. They got all these things that they're out doing. They got their time set aside to call people in their database and build relationships. And I think the question you need to ask yourself before you track anything is, why am I tracking this? Like, what is the reason that I'm tracking? What am I going to do with this data? Paul Schneider is one of the best, and we're going to hopefully have him on the podcast here coming up. He is one of the best I've ever seen at tracking your numbers. Tracking your, when I say tracking your numbers as in hours in the day, where is my time being spent? From the moment I wake up to the moment I go to bed, where am I spending my hours? Is it hours that are making me better and helping me grow? Is it hours that are helping my family? Is it hours that I'm putting good nutrition into my body? When I do put alcohol into my body, how does that affect my numbers for the next day? I've never seen anybody better at it. It's also very few people are going to track at that level. But he understands the reason he's tracking it. He does something with that data that now that he's received where he goes, oh, that's interesting. Here was my mood score after I drank alcohol. Maybe that's not a good thing for me to do. And I think last time I've talked to him, like, he cut alcohol out a while back. I don't think he's reintroduced it into his world because he can see how it affects his numbers, and he wants to run at a high level. He wants to run at a high level for his wife. He wants to run at a high level for his children. He wants to show up for them at the best he possibly can be, as well as his clients. And guess what? It shows. But in that data that he's tracking, he knows why. And this is where, Matt, I've tried to get people to track their hours for years and years and years. And a lot of them kind of go in and they go, okay, and they do it for a day. And then like, like they're back off, not doing it again. And then like, oh yeah, I'll track a couple days in a row. And they're like, oh, that's really interesting. Now I'm spending a lot of time in these time zones and these things and this, that, but they have no goals of improving it. They have no goals of saying, I want better results out of that. And that is the problem, because now the tracking is not a good use of your time. You're really not growing by the information that you're gathering. And we need to set some goals around it. Like, we really need to set some goals around if we want to be powerful. So again, I go back to, why am I tracking this needs to be the first question that we ask ourselves before we do it. And I think a lot of people leave training seminars, they leave classes going like, oh, I should just keep track of all these things. Matt, you and I talked about 50 people a week. Like, there's a vast difference in talking to 50 people per week and really, truly building quality relationships with 50 people every week. It's very different. Don't you agree?
It's very different. And I think when you don't have the awareness of what you're trying to accomplish, then you question the activities. Well, I talked to 50 people. Why am I not seeing the same results as Garrett?
well, how are you, right? What are you trying to accomplish with that? And I think when people get into tracking things for the first time, they think that tracking is going to lead to the results. Like, oh, just because I'm monitoring this, which I will say, by just shedding a light, there will be some acknowledgement of something for most of you. And that's actually where I start with tracking with a lot of people. Is like, I want you to track because I want you to be aware of what you are doing or what you are not doing. I just had a conversation with somebody about nutrition tracking. And they're like, well, I'm trying to, slow down late night eating. I'm like, great, just track everything that you eat then. Because that's going to bring awareness to what you are doing at night, which that's going to start to turn some wheels in your head. And then we can set some goals off of that, because once we know what's really happening, then we can also set better goals. And so the initial phase of tracking, just to understand what's going on, because I do see this too, Garrett. People are like, yeah, I talk to 50 people a week. I'm like, great, prove it to me. Like, well, I mean, I kind of like did this and this. I'm like, unless I can see the data, like, I don't believe you on that. Right. And that's where a lot of people fall down, is they think they are tracking too. And I know this maybe gets a little confusing here. So how you track is very important, right? And that's the first part. How you track, understanding the initial purpose of it so that you can set a goal. And then from there, understanding that just because this data is this, and this is, Alex Hormozy actually talks about this a lot, where people will look at data and be like, but I'm doing the average. I'm beating the industry average. I'm doing more than this person. And it's like, I don't care, because results may vary based on the individual who's performing the task in terms of how that one thing is going to create results. And industry averages are terrible. Right? Like, if you're in a program to be excellent, you don't want to just be like, cool, my email has an open rate of 30%. I'm so much better than the industry average. It's like, great. That's terrible. So that awareness, Garrett, I think is the first stage of this.
Well, it's establishing a baseline. And I think, where what you said here is awesome, which is there's too many variables. When you try to compare yourself to industry averages and what somebody else is doing, and, this, because I'm getting this, I'm going to get the results that so-and-so is getting. It's really, really, really all over the board of what that can look like. So the first thing is you got to figure out what your standards are and how you work and how you operate. And this is where the value of tracking comes in. If you have goals around getting better, and I'm just going to go back to that really quick. So if we have goals around getting better around this, first, the beauty of tracking is establishing this baseline that we need to know how we operate. And then the next thing is saying, okay, well, how can we improve upon the activities that we're doing right now? Is it more numbers, or is it maybe I want to increase the impact of that same activity that I'm doing? Because they'll both produce numbers. One's make it up in volume. The other one is make it up in quality. And I think we have this opportunity at our fingertips once you're tracking to go, for instance, Matt, we've been reaching out to tons of people in our world. I've had the most amazing phone calls with people. I get frustrated when I have a day that's like, yes, I can document that I reached out to 15 people today. Awesome. All voicemails. All of them. And so what happens is I know when I leave voicemails, the likelihood of having a really good quality conversation that's going to raise and amplify the relationships that we're having might not happen, because I don't want to call them back in 4 days, 3 days, and be like, hey, it's just me again, just checking in. Like, I don't want to be that guy. That's just not who I am. But if I can call during a certain time of the day, and I have figured this out, I'm getting more and more clear on it right now. There's a certain time of the day on certain days, usually Monday mornings, I have found, if I pick up the phone and start making phone calls, I'm not leaving voice messages, which means I'm doing the same activity, I'm reaching the same amount of people, but the results of the call is better. The results of that person walking away going, I am so happy I got to talk to you, and me going, me too. Like, that was awesome. That doesn't happen on voicemails. But if I can figure out how to make the same activity that I'm tracking have better results, this is the goal. That's what my goal is around it. And this is where make it up in volume or make it up in quality. And I can make 100 more phone calls this week at the wrong times and make it up in volume, because there'll be some phone calls that will come back through voicemails. Or I can be really powerful with the calls that I'm having. Again, tracking is powerful. We're not saying don't track, but we're saying if you're going to track, have an end-all be-all goal in mind about what you're doing with it.
Well, and that was a clear example of having, one thing too. I think sometimes we just track too many things at the same time. And so we are unable to find clarity around the goal. Right. And the beauty of doing the tracking, everything that you just said, to find in the time and all that stuff, which also will bring awareness into your calendar. I had a conversation with a client the other day, and we had set a goal to do 3 outreaches a day to this list that he had. And we got together and I said, okay, how did it go? Did you get your 3 a day? No, I didn't get my 3 a day. Well, what happened? And a lot of stuff happened. There was some major personal stuff that was going on that it wasn't like well, come on, just kind of suck it up and
I hear
get
excuses, Matt. That's why I hear excuses.
Yeah. Well,
I'm sorry. Keep going.
well, I mean, I guess they are excuses, whether they're valid or not. And I said, okay, well, if the goal is though 3 a day, right? And right now we're not even getting one. There is a little bit of a fallacy there. And I'll share a quick story of that. This was me in tracking my heart rate variable 2. Why don't we switch the method so we can get to the number and let's see how that performs, right? And part of it was, I was like, let's switch to text messages, which everyone's like, oh, but calls are better. I totally agree. But if we cannot make the calls because of something else that's going on, let's switch to text. And there were some results that happened from just these initial texts. I was like, cool, we can parlay those now into the call. So now the goal of the 3 touches is going to be there. The results are probably going to be a little less than we were hoping for since we switched the method, but we'll have some data that we can then use to then say, do we just send more text messages? Or do we now have an opportunity to parlay those into phone calls and other interactions? And this is what you learn if you are, and this is just looking at one thing versus clouding yourself with tons of things. And a lot of this depends on what you're trying to accomplish, because you brought up in the beginning, even tracking market data and all this stuff. There's a lot of things that we can track in our world. When it comes to our actions, if you start with what's going to lead to a goal that you have, track one thing, less is usually more in these scenarios. And then you can build from there so that you can build the program that works for you. Is why we created the engagement engine. Instead of saying, hey, this is the exact metric that'll work for everybody, we say, here's all the different things that you can do to build powerful relationships. Where are you, 1, highly skilled, highly effective, and 2, also have the time for? Because you figured out, great, Monday morning works. Now, if we take that same time zone, and let's say I'm just as good at calls as you, I'm 3 hours ahead. So maybe that doesn't work for me because, my Monday morning's free, but that's actually Monday afternoon for me. So this is where you start to see like, oh, the results that someone's seeing over here may not be the same for me because my lifestyle is different. So let me go back to that engagement engine and see how I alter these things to say, these are the things that I'm going to do and I'm going to track to see the results in my world.
Well,
right?
And this is for me going back to those times and tracking and knowing and documenting. I know that if I hit the 3 o'clock hour in my day in the world that I'm here, I have lost my entire East Coast. That means now I'm spending time looking through our database, going, who do I want to reach out to? Who would be powerful right now that I could really make a good contact with? And I'll find somebody's name. Maybe I know them. Maybe I don't. Maybe they're a light person in our database and in our world that I want to reach out and introduce myself, say hi. And I go and look up their location and I'm like, damn it, West Virginia. It's 6 o'clock at night there. I'm not calling them. I'm not going to do that. Okay, so let's find somebody else. And then he looks up somebody else. Okay, I got them. Oh, they're in Florida. Oh, still, it's 6 o'clock there. I'm not calling them. Let's find another person. I'm wasting so much damn time. Like, if I can call in that for me, 8 o'clock in the morning, and a lot of times I can even start earlier, but if I really don't want to have to question anybody in my database going, what time zone are they in? I'd really try to hit right between 8 o'clock. Hawaii will throw this off. It's the only one that's my wild card. But really, 8 o'clock till about 3 o'clock. 3 o'clock, I'm done. Because, again, it's not the best use of my time to try to decipher who the right people are to be calling. So it's like when you start tracking, when you start knowing these things, you can be much more effective with your time, much more effective with your energy. I'm going to jump to market impact reports for a second, Matt, because these are a brilliant thing that I know a lot of people are just like, I know I got to do them. And we just do them and we do them and we do them. How many am I supposed to do? Well, 2 a week would really be optimal. So, okay, I'm just going to try to hit 2 a week. I'll just get 2 a week, send them, mail them out the door. Or some of you may have I'm just going to do one for everybody in my database once a year. We'll mail out a massive thing at the beginning of the year. Everybody gets one. The cool part is when you start to track them and you go, well, what's the difference of the ones that I do face-to-face to the ones that I send out through mail? What types of different, engagement do I have? What are the referral opportunities that show up around that? Is it worthwhile for me doing more of those? Are there certain people that maybe ones I've sold homes to in the past to ones that are friends that I've never done business with that I get better results with? Are there ones that maybe are currently going through life changes that when I do them with those people, I even get better results? Like when you start to break this down and look at it, you can really start to direct your energy and your focus to these to say, look, I am going to send out, let's say, a market impact report to every single one of my people this year. There's a good group of them that I'm going to make sure they get them, but it's going to be through the mail. There's another group, because I've tracked it and I understand and I know what gives me the best results, there's no way in hell I'm sending it through the mail. Those people are going to get a phone call from me. I'm going to set it up face-to-face because in the act of building this business to the best referral relationship marketing business I could possibly build, I would be a fool to let those go through the mail because that's where the results happen. But you can't do it unless you track it and you understand it. You have to have a goal in mind of what you're trying to do.
I love the market impact report tracking too, Garrett, because I think a lot of people will be like, I did it, right? And there's an extended tracking that goes on here, right? When you do a deal, oh, I just closed with John and Sally. Great. Where did they come from? Oh, they're in my sphere, right? They're a repeat client. Great. Did you do a market impact report with them this year? Oh, I don't know, right? Understanding, even tracking into the contact records, because the results of a market impact report may not be immediate. But I've noticed actually, Garrett, over the past 2 years, these people who I'm doing all my repeat business with happen to be the people that I sat down and did a market impact report with each year. Now, that didn't lead to them buying or selling that year, but it did lead to the most repeat clients in 5 years. This is where all of a sudden data can get really fun. And why tracking is important, but also understanding why you're doing it and how it can be applied. Because we'll even see people say, well, I did, last month, I did all my market impact reports. I didn't see any results. Well, let's understand, when do those results usually come? What type of results are you seeing? Like, what happened? Well, I had a lot more conversations. Okay, that's great. It's only 1 month. So many people give up so early on data that you never really get to see it. And this is where they're like, yeah, I tried tracking and it didn't work. It's like, yeah, because all you did was write some numbers down on a piece of paper or inside an app for a little period of time, hoping that that would make a difference instead of actually using the data to your advantage over a period of time. And that's what I want to encourage people to do, Garrett, is use the data to your advantage. As you said, set a goal around it so that we understand what we're using it for.
Well, this goes back to, and I know I'm going to rub some people here the wrong way, but like this is, Matt, we've talked about this before, but like part of my frustration with like genuine just scorecards when it comes to doing like activities, your notes, your real estate reviews or market impact reports, your lunches, is that a lot of times it just gets down into, okay, what's my score? How many things did I hit? And at the end of the day, yes, it will drive you to be better. It will keep you on track, making sure that you're in forward movement and you are doing enough to make the business grow and move forward. But it sometimes gets you into that mode of just checking the box. Oh, I hit 100. Okay, good. Next week, we're going to go for 100 again. I'm going to figure out a way to get there. But there's that other element. So like we'll use handwritten notes for a second. I've watched people for years that are like, yep, I do 10. Every single week I do 10 notes. It's like, great. Tell me about your notes. What is your goal with sending your notes? Well, I do it because the system that I follow says I'm supposed to send 10 handwritten notes. So that's what I do. Like I just make sure they always go out. I've got my stationery. I got my stamps. I find my people. I write my notes. Great. Tell me the notes. And all of a sudden I'll have somebody go, well, I sent out 10 birthday cards this last week. Great. Tell me, what do you write in the birthday card? Happy birthday. That's your handwritten note. You wrote happy birthday and they're like, yep, but it's a handwritten note. I got it out. We're supposed to send them out. That's what we do. Okay. Is your goal now about writing 10 handwritten notes, or is it about making the biggest impact you can around a handwritten note in people's worlds. So I've always tried to get people to change the goal around handwritten notes is how many people can you have reach out to you after you've written a handwritten note that come back to you with energy going, thank you. I needed that note. I needed to hear that right now. I needed the acknowledgement that you gave me or the response that you gave me really was special. I just want to say thank you. Or maybe a handwritten note comes back, but it's missed off so often because we're just going, yeah, I'm doing the systems, checking the boxes. I've been tracking it. I got months of 10 handwritten notes going out. Great. But what are we really trying to do with it? And I think this is that change. I love tracking, but it's got to have an attachment to what are we really trying to accomplish? Just trying to check boxes, or are we trying to make impact? And impact is what we should be focusing on with anything that we're tracking, especially for our business.
Yeah. And that impact is whatever you define it to be, because I think you also do see people, Garrett, who track and they're seeing certain results, but they don't even know what it's coming from because they're not drawing the line between what they're tracking and the results that are happening. They're like, well, I just know that I'm doing everything here and it's producing results, which maybe that's good enough for you, right? Maybe that works and that's okay. And this gets into like, what type of business are you looking to run? Are you looking to run a true business that is predictable? We need to understand what the inputs and how they're relating to the outputs, right? If you just want to do a job, which is okay, by the way, totally okay, then great, go do some things, right? Because usually if you're in a W-2 job and you get assigned things to do, somebody else is probably tracking what you're doing, right? Because now you're a cog in their wheel and we want to understand that productivity. For those of you who are listening, pretty sure you guys want to level up a little bit beyond that. And so you're a cog in your own wheel. And so you got to measure yourself with some of this stuff to understand what's creating results, because whenever I see all of this stuff happening and the results, I'm like, cool, well, what thing can we remove and nothing would change? And they're like, oh, I don't even know. I'm like, there could be something.
Yep.
Maybe if we got rid of all those happy birthday handwritten notes, your business wouldn't change at all. Well, and it would be just as good. You're like, oh, you mean I could stop doing that? It's like, well, I don't know. We have to understand. If you're writing notes like you were just describing, Garrett, I probably wouldn't take those out. At the same time, maybe the happy birthday notes are creating an impact, because I'm sure there are some people that you aren't writing those notes to. And are they coming and doing business with you? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know.
I use the extreme of the happy birthday. I just use the extreme because there's so many variables in between there, Matt, of like, hey, just thinking of you. Or, hey, wanted to stop and say hi and just, say has, whatever it might be. There's so many variables that as you go and you go, well, what can I do to really make an impact? And I think with tracking, like we track a ton of stuff. We could track a whole lot more in our world, Matt, in our business and what we're doing. But like I look at like our podcast numbers, YouTube numbers, and we're looking at those every single day. We have every week, you and I come together and we throw all of our numbers into an Excel spreadsheet, and we can see, months now of data of, doing this consistent, what has it changed? And I'm constantly looking up, how do you get videos to go out to more people to recognize it? And I'll make a little subtle change and then I'll track that. I won't change anything else other than that one variable, and we'll watch it for a little bit. And it's frustrating when you make a change that you think is going to make a big impact. You're like, oh, this is it. This is all of a sudden going to get it out to a whole different audience. And you watch it play out and it's like, nope, didn't do a damn thing. But also what you said is, what can I take away, free up time that I'm spending right now that doesn't change anything at all? And I have found that with the editing of shorts and pieces that I was spending so much time trying to get B-roll, trying to do all this stuff, my numbers went up with connection and retention and stuff when I actually left all that crap out when it comes to YouTube. And I was like, well, this is interesting. Like, simplified the video down, kept just bullet points of little stuff I wanted to get. And all of a sudden, more people are paying attention, more people are clicking through, more people are watching it. But I have the data to back it up. I'm not just throwing videos up going, look, Matt, my commitment to you is a video every single day is going to be a short. And as long as I'm doing that, we're good. Like, that's one aspect of tracking. The other one is going, if we're going to do that, let's make the biggest impact. Let's figure out how many people we can help out there. Again, that's the power of tracking. Got to have a goal behind it.
Yeah. And, you know, as you said, there's lots of variables behind it, which also gets into our time. And I would say this as kind of a final thought is I would encourage everybody to figure out how can you track more things easily so that when you're ready to analyze the data, you can go take a look at it. And that's where I look for efficiencies because you can get stuck and bogged down in just the tracking and measuring of things and just get exhausted from trying to keep track of stuff. This gets into our end of day sequence that we just had a podcast on a little while ago. We did a whole coaching session on it inside of our 11 circle on that. You know, there are certain things that can help you keep track of data a lot better, particularly with tools and AI and different things out there now. You can keep track of this stuff. So I'd say figure out an easy way to start tracking stuff, have a goal associated with it, and then look at one metric at a time so you can understand how that one is impacting your world, impacting your business, and then you can then add on from there. And you'd be surprised at how quickly you can scale up in terms of understanding the things that you're tracking and see the results of little changes that you make. And some things you may have to give it a month, 2 months, 6 months to see the impact before you can say, hey, is this something that is, you know, truly working in this way, or do I need to make an adjustment? So
can I turn this into racing for a second, Matt, just for fun?
of course.
So I when you go out to a track, and we've done talks about this before, Matt, but like there's so many different ways that you can approach a corner when you're at speed. And some of them are really slow and some of them are really fast, but you're going to make it around the corner no matter what. Like that's going to happen. Well, for the most part, you might end up out in the sticks, but for the most part, we're going to make it around the corner. But it's interesting that when you start to realize all the little nuances that go when my tires are here, when I'm going this speed, when I'm braking at this point, when I'm on the accelerator at this point because I did everything right going into it. Because you can go into a corner wrong and it totally screws up the outside of the corner when you're leaving, where you're all out of whack and you can't get on the throttle because you're sideways. Like things happen. So, but when you find out the sequence where you're like, okay, when all this happens, this is where speed happens. This is where we're efficient. This is where we're setting record lap times. All these little pieces have to happen. This is the stuff like for your business, when you start to understand this, you're going to get to a point of writing your business plan at the end of the year. Hopefully you're doing quarterly reviews and updates and looking at all your business. When you've been tracking, you get to now sit back and say, okay, what makes this business really efficient, really fast? What makes it set records? What makes it be the business that people walk around going, whoa, like how are you doing that? And you have to track this information. You have to understand it if you want to put in the perfect corner and really understand how do we enter it and leave it with the space that goes, how in the world did they do that? So I want to go back to where we started, Matt, is that we're not picking on tracking, but I think it's important to know, like if you're going to try to figure out a corner, it's not just about driving around the track. There's a lot of people that just do that and they go out there and go like, woo, we're just, going around the track. And then there's a good amount of people that go, yeah, but I want to be the fastest. I want to be the fastest. I want to fine tune this and know it. And you better be tracking the data and the information. Otherwise you're just winging it every single time you go out. So that's my 2 cents on that.
I love it.
Little racing.
I love it. So I would love to hear from everybody because I know this is a challenge for some people and some people have it dialed in. So one of the best things you can do is, well, there's 2 places you can do this. Go to YouTube if you're listening on audio and just comment below this episode on how do you track or what are your challenges with tracking data. Ask some questions. We'd love to jump in there and have that conversation with you, or just download our app, the Life at 10/10 app. In the lobby, we have all of our podcast episodes listed in there, and you can comment on the podcast episodes, engage with us, engage with other people who listen. But we'd love to know, like, are you tracking? What are you tracking? What are the metrics that are working for you? Or what questions or challenges do you have with that? And if you want to dive into figuring this thing out at a much higher level, come inside our community. Jump into the inside track as an entree to get into the 11 circle and all the other stuff that we do so that we can open up that conversation with you and help you guys optimize your business so that you can live the life that you truly want to live. Because that's what Garrett and I are trying to do every single day with ourselves and the people that are involved in our community, is help you live at the pinnacle of your ability and purpose. And part of that is understanding the metrics and the numbers to your life and your business. And that's what we encourage you all to do. And that's what we're here to do. And if you just want to reach out to us, DM me on Instagram, DM Garrett, send us an email, matt@garrett@life@10tenths, and ask a question. And we'd be happy to serve you guys. So appreciate you guys from listening. As always, gosh, Garrett, we have the best audience in the world. And if you guys did get value out of this, share it out, because that's the way podcasts grow, is through other people sharing it. So I know that you probably have somebody who you're like, they're gonna like this one. Send it to them, text it to them, drop it in an MP3 file and mail it to them.
Put it in an envelope.
Can you put a podcast in an envelope? I would love to see that if you could do that.
Just a picture of
So
the podcast.
anyway, guys,
You're gonna love this.
yeah. Just wait, what is this? I guess you could print the transcript out. There you go. Print the transcript and mail it
There,
to
that would
somebody.
be unique. All right. Appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Take care, guys. Have a great day. We'll catch you on the next one.